Alright, back with another one, guys. This one looks pretty bad too. So what we got here, iPhone 12 Pro. As usual, we'll go ahead and remove the two pentalobe screws. Now I did preheat the front screen already. I do have a heat pad. If you guys don't have a heat pad, you can use a heat gun or a blow dryer. All you gotta do is just blow around the border and make sure it's nice and warm. Since we got that out of there, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and separate the screen from the housing, and we'll just grab our pick here, go around the phone and just work our way down. Get some ISO and just loosen up the rest of the top. iPhone 12, guys. Just open her up. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wide tip screws. We'll go ahead and remove the two bottom two. So underneath this plate holds the battery and the display cables that we have to unplug. So we'll go ahead and remove that. We'll find the battery, it's right there. We'll go ahead and remove the battery first. Once we remove the battery, we'll come up here, take off the 4 wide tips that's holding down this bracket. Once we get this bracket off, what we can do is we can go ahead and unplug the earpiece, front proximity sensor. Let's get this last one off there. Once we get that off, like I said, we can go ahead and remove this plate here. Just try to wiggle it out of the way. Once we get that out of the way, we'll go ahead and unplug the cable. And then you have 2 display cables on the bottom. There's one, and the last one. Once you remove that, you can go ahead and remove the motherboard here. Get that out of the way. And we'll go ahead and remove the top earpiece. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. So the 2 on the left, they're wide tips. So we'll go ahead and remove those. And then you got 2 on the right, which are Phillips. So just make sure you try to keep them in order, so when you put it back, you know where they're going. Once we get that done, we'll go ahead and heat that up a little bit. Now that we got the earpiece all warmed up, we can go ahead and remove it. So we'll lift up the speaker here, and then we'll go work our way around. Get some ISO. Get some in there just to loosen up the adhesive that's keeping it from coming off. The adhesive underneath that's bonded to the display. We'll go ahead and slowly try to pry that off there. Just take your time, work your way around. Try to get underneath here and just slowly lift off the tab. Once we get that microphone there loose, we can go ahead and take this piece off here. I think that's the proximity. There she is, right there. So we'll go ahead and get rid of the old display. Grab the new one. Nice and new. So right now we're basically gonna do everything back into reverse mode. So we're just gonna go ahead and line up this into the notch there. Once we get that in there, seated nice and flush, we'll go ahead and line the rest of them back up. Get the microphone lined up nice and proper. Once we get that in, we'll go ahead and flip the earpiece back over. Just make sure everything's nice and flush. There's no rush, guys. Just take your time and just make sure everything's nice and in its spot. Once you get that in there, we'll go ahead and put the wide tip screws back in. So the 2 on the left, again, they're the wide tips, and then the 2 on the right, they're Phillips. So make sure you try to keep those organized. This one here, we'll go ahead and put it in. Then we'll grab the last screw and then we'll finish that off. Once we finish that off, we'll go ahead and grab the motherboard and put everything back together. Grab the motherboard here. Set it in a way so it's comfortable for you to put everything back together. We'll start at the top and clip in the earpiece cable first. It just makes everything else a lot easier. Try not to rush it. If it's not going in, just slowly rub it, work its way in. Don't try to force it. Just like that. Once it clips in, we'll go ahead and clip our bottom cable in. Get that in there. Once we get that in there, we'll line up the next one. Could be a little tricky, but just take your time, guys. This cable is giving me a hard time, so I'm just gonna try to work it in there. Again, just take your time. Could be a little frustrating, but you don't want to force anything. Right here, I just slowly, try to find another way. See if that works. Nope, didn't work, but gave me enough room to plug it in. So now I got that plugged in. I'm just gonna make sure the bottom cable is plugged in. That one's nice and snug. We're all nice and snug, good to go. Go ahead and plug the battery back in. Once we plug the battery back in, we'll go ahead and turn the phone on. See if we can boot her up. Battery's in. See what happens. Turn it on. See if the phone turns on. As you can see, the phone is not turning on. So usually when this happens, I assume that it could be the aftermarket display is not fully compatible with the phone. So I noticed that when this happens, all you have to do is just go and plug it in. Once you plug in, it will automatically boot the phone up as usual. It's happened a few times. So if this happens, you just go ahead and plug it into the charger and manually boot it up like that. It's always worked. So now that the phone's on, everything's working, everything's good to go. We got the plate on, so now we'll go ahead and start screwing the plate back down, locking everything back into place. Once we get everything locked back into place, then we can go ahead and put the screen back together. So what I'll do is I'll probably fast forward this a little bit here. So now that's done, we'll go down here and put this bottom plate back on. Grab the screw, the Y-tip screw. Let's line that up. We'll go ahead and screw that in there. Once we tack that down a little bit, we'll go ahead and put the final screw in. Lock that up. Once it's locked up, we'll go and line it up to the top. Once it's lined up, we'll go ahead and work our way around and pop the phone back into place. Once everything's nice and snug, we'll go ahead and put the two pentalopes back in. And once you get to this point, we're basically done, everyone. So that's it right there. iPhone 12 Pro front screen replacement. Go ahead and test it. Take the plastic off. Touch good, everything's good. And that's it for this one, guys. See you on the next one.